Last week we covered the early in the middle of your fantasy football drafts, but now we got to cover the champion's turn. If you enjoy, drop a like, subscribe to the channel. Let's get into it. Kicking off here with the ninth overall pick. And again, today we're going through 9 through 12. And these are full PPR, but mostly half PPR formats. Jonathan Taylor, to me, a top three, top four running back in fantasy this year in half PPR and full PPR formats. To me, absolute steal here at number 9. You know what you're getting. Now, here on the turn, when you come back around, you're in a weird spot because you don't want to reach on a tight end. You don't want to reach on a quarterback. But again, you could also go with a Davante Adams with the selection. You can go with some other guys here, but I think you play it safe. To me, a top 10 receiver as of right now. We know that he is in San Francisco, and if he is in a contract year, I like Brandon Aiyuk's upside. You could pair that in the third round with James Cook, a guy that has an offense built around him. Quite frankly, they're in this new scheme in Buffalo. No Stephon Diggs. Of course, James Cook is going to be expected to carry a lot of the offensive load on the ground, but also through the air with some younger wide receivers on the outside. So James Cook, absolute steal, and I think he's my 13th running back here in the offseason. You can pair that. Now, if you want to go with the balanced approach, you can go Amari Cooper and pair that with DK Metcalf, who's one of the most underrated receivers this year in fantasy football. So if you walk out of your first 5 rounds with this balanced approach in either half or full PPR formats, I think you're pretty happy because now in the 6th round and on, you can get so many stacking opportunities. If you want to go running backs heavy early, this is an approach you can take. You can go Jahmyr Gibbs at the 10th spot, come back around and get Kyren Williams, and then in the 3rd and 4th round, this is where we attack the onesie positions, especially if you're in a full PPR. This is what I kind of like to do. I like to get out of my first 5 rounds with a stack or so, or at least have a stack in my starting lineup. But Mark Andrews in the 3rd, you come back on the turn and you get Lamar Jackson, one of the best stacks you could potentially get. And then in the 5th round, why not? Let's take a shot on a guy like George Pickens. We already have a lot of stability and upside in the first 4 rounds. Let's go after a guy with strictly upside. Saquon Barkley in round 1, depending on your belief in him. If you want to take Puka in the 1st, Saquon in the 2nd, it doesn't really matter. But you're at the 11th spot. You're approaching this turn. And that's why I have you reaching for a guy like Trey McBride. To me, he's going in the 4th round as of right now. But this is a guy that, to me, has the potential to be the tight end 1, and he's going to be the 3rd tight end off the board. So if you can get the tight end 1 at a tight end 3 value, absolutely insane. Immediately gives your team that extra step up. But also, if you want to pair him with Patrick Mahomes in the 4th round, that is a potential possibility. Now, if you believe that Kyler Murray can be a top 10 quarterback, you might as well get Trey McBride in the 3rd and wait to the 5th or the 6th round to get a guy like Kyler Murray. And then in the 5th, you can go a couple different receivers, maybe a George Pickens. But to me, I just threw out Joe Mixon there. Of course, you're approaching the 5-6 turn. So let's go out there and get a potential top 20 running back in Joe Mixon. So 2 great running backs, a lead receiver, and then, of course, 2 great players at the onesie positions in Trey McBride and Patrick Mahomes. Now, here at the turn, instead of 2 running backs, we're going to go with a 2 wide receiver approach and still attacking those onesie positions. You can go A.J. Brown and Garrett Wilson at the turn. To me, I think they're my wide receivers 5 and 6, if not 6 and 7 on my boards. So you get 2 elite wide receivers in full PPR formats. And then when you come back, you can go with Jalen Hurts. You can go Alvin Kamara, continuing to hammer out this PPR format. So again, elite quarterback, elite wide receiver duo. You got a great PPR running back who I think is going to have a great year here in 2024. But then in the 5th round, why not? Let's take a flyer on a guy like Kyle Pitts in this new offense with a new quarterback as well. So very quickly, we'll take a look here at the recap. Again, the first slot here at the 9th pick, we went with no onesie positions. And then we really wanted to attack these onesie positions at the 10, 11, 12, but we had a little bit of a different approach in each and every one. So gives you guys 4 different outlooks on how you can approach your draft if you're on the champion's turn.